actually expected this to go to a Game 3. I think a lot of people were counting XiGua out of this series.
No, that's a great point. I mean, he's seeded into winners bracket round 4, gets immediately paired against Lenok,
Right.
which is like super tough, goes out into losers bracket straight away, and then gets Squirtle. So a very difficult situation for him to be in. He is on the brink of elimination, but has just taken a game back. Let's go into game number 3 and see what he can do here.
And so spawning down here in the bottom left corner, taking Game 2, actually holding a very, very well-timed Immortal Sentry all-in. It is Invictus Gaming's XiGua.
And his opponent in the top right position, guys. Here on Entomb Valley, we have the red Protoss player representing Startail. It is Squirtle.
Yeah, so man, that hold, I did not see that coming. I mean, he did a
No,
really
don't
nice
worry
job.
about it, dude. Like, it's to be honest, that was such that was a big thing as far as the game was
Right.
concerned. But more importantly, we're going into a game number 3 now. Apologies to the viewers, of course. That was a big thing to miss, unfortunately, that counterattack on screen there. But we'll try. Like we actually made sure between games there that we're not going to be missing that again. So
Yeah, absolutely.
hiccups like this do happen, and we extend our apologies. That was a big part of the end of that game. But don't worry about it, J. Morrow. We have a very important game number 3 here, and what I actually really want to talk about right now in this game is the emotion that's going through these players. And I think everyone will agree that when you get into such a stacked tournament and you're going through the bracket like XiGua has, where he gets dumped straight into the lower bracket, that's a really difficult position to be in. I mean, think about it, guys. What would you do if you were in his position and you get first put up against Lenok and then against Squirtle? That's just... that's one of like the worst case scenarios you can get going into a bracket like this.
Welcome to IPL 5.
So unbelievably difficult.
Yeah, it's really, really scary to look at the brackets and I think it's really funny to think in most situations people always try to look for a group of death, where in this situation everybody's trying to look for an easier group, and I just don't think it could be found this time.
So we'll see if he can hold it, though. He did a great job there in game number 2. I mean, he basically did. I mean, we saw the theme in game number 1 when he tried to get those Zerglings out on Metropolis.
Sure.
Obviously, that game didn't end very well with him, but he was trying his best to get those Lings into the base of Squirtle and try and do as much harassment damage as he possibly can. And that's basically how he won the second game. So can he do it again in game number 3? Squirtle's obviously going to be really, really aware of what XiGua is trying to do there, and he might not fall for the same thing again. Needs to be very careful there. Squirtle actually pylon blocking the natural expansion there, but XiGua going to immediately take the third.
Yep, 6 Zerglings are in production to help clean up some of those pylons, and Squirtle playing a little bit safer this time, getting the forge first, getting a cannon right after. No gateway as of yet, which will be followed up here in just a moment. And so, I mean, he's already, kind of done a very Mac-oriented build during the first game. The second game, he did a very, very precise timing. So, I mean, at this point, does he fall back and go towards the macro style and maybe push XiGua to the late stages, or does he try something different?
It's such a difficult call to make. Like, you get... Oh, and here we go. Oh, wait, hold on. Are we going to see Lings move in there? No, he's just going to poke around and get taken out by the cannon, so all is good. I mean, when you're in this kind of position and... all sorts of mind games start coming into play. It's very, very difficult when you're on the brink of elimination of a tournament. The tension is just so unbelievably high. I wouldn't be surprised to see both players go into the mid-game and try and settle themselves, calm their nerves, and just get into the flow of things. So I don't expect this game number 3 to end very quickly.
That's actually a really good point. I mean, a lot of players, I mean, like you were talking about, XiGua, he came into Winners Round 4, so he didn't get a chance to practice, to play some of the earlier on opponents, so he's actually got seeded directly up into it. So, I mean, this is what, his second, maybe third series of IPL 5, so, he's probably getting a little more warmed up now, especially playing against somebody as good as Squirtle.
This is, yeah, we're going to have a little bit of downtime at the moment while these guys get set. The Queen immediately going towards the third base location. Don't forget, of course, the third base was put up before the natural, thanks to that pylon block there. He's going to start working away a little bit at the rocks, actually moving those Lings away. Oh, to try and deny the scouting from Squirtle. Is he going to be able to do it? Good positioning, but it looks like he does just about get it down. Squirtle's not going to see anything other than the third hatchery has been taken, though. So no super useful information going on there. Just knows that XiGua is going into a pretty normal game, and we have got 2 gases being taken, this time at the third base.
Yep, and XiGua tried to take map control as much as possible with these Zerglings. Of course, that's the best part of having them out. And look at this, Squirtle still doesn't even have a huge wall off here. It looks like the Stalker's going to head out to the west side and maybe get a little bit more scouting information, looking for a couple of Zerglings around the map. And right now, there actually is a pretty decent opening. Speed has not been started. And, like we were talking about last game, it looks like XiGua is going to delay his gas a little bit longer. And there we go. Actually, both of them are at the third base. He likes to move stuff around a bit.
He does indeed. Well, don't forget, last game he took them at his natural, and of course he had to take his third base before his natural, so he will be grabbing that gas at his third base rather than his natural expansion at the moment, and he does immediately go up to that Roach Warren and Zergling speed simultaneously. Some Lings here just going to be scouting around the third base location as well, but they are going to get themselves trapped here. Sees that Squirtle's put a pylon down. Now, on Entomb Valley, we often see, of course, Protosses immediately wall off at the third base location with a bunch of gateways, and Squirtle's actually going to put down a pretty quick third Nexus here.
Yeah, that's a pretty decently early Roach Warren. The lair is on the way as well. Grabbing a third gas guys are in the main. And I'm wondering if XiGua might actually time this out a little bit. I mean, a lot of players always talk about it's impossible to break when Protoss goes for his third base. And actually, there's the gateway wall already started at the third. So this is going to be, with a couple extra cannons and maybe some sentries, this is basically impenetrable.
Yeah, he should be completely fine there. Normally we see a cannon go down that can attack the rocks as well. This is not the case with Squirtle, but he will eventually, I hope, break down those rocks between his natural and the third. Very, very useful channel there when on the defensive. We're going to be poking forward now with a Zealot and 2 Stalkers, doing a bit of damage to that Queen. It looks like she will be able to stay alive, though, because we do have some Ling reinforcements coming in here from XiGua.
Yep, Zergling speed is not done, so these Stalkers will be able to return home without an issue. And so that Zealot does get taken out. A couple of Zerglings were taken out, forced a couple of extra larvae out of XiGua at this point in the game, which definitely hurts. You know, you want to try and get your drone count as high as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it looks like now XiGua is going to try and take the map control back with his Zerglings. Speed is now done.
And 3 more gateways coming up from Squirtle now, going to be completing that, I presume, as part of the wall-off at the third base. There we go, Warp Gate about to start off. Some Lings going to be a little bit annoying, and Squirtle actually hasn't started work on those Destructive Rocks between his natural and the third, so he's going to have to walk the long way around if he wants to try and pick off those Lings. Just warping in a unit or 2 to keep those Zerglings at bay seems to be okay for now.
Surprisingly, he really hasn't started working on those rocks yet, so I mean, it's going to be really hard to defend that third base. There we go, Twilight Council and Robotics Facility started at the same time. XiGua taking a fourth that's already halfway done, but Squirtle is already way ahead of this. He's already got 2 pylons in great position to warp in units. Ooh, but it looks like XiGua might actually spot them here.
Oh, he's coming very close with these Lings. He's I love that he's spending all this time patrolling with his Lings, although unfortunately he hasn't spotted the pylons yet. Maybe he will soon. There's another group of Lings. Are they going to go up the ramp? Yes, they do. Okay, so XiGua will be spotting these pylons here, and he will know that those warp-ins can take place. Oh, a very good warp-in with the Zealots, though, being quite cost-effective against those Lings.
The problem is there was 10 Roaches in production just a moment ago, so those are going to head across and probably defend that in just a moment here, but not before Squirtle can move across the map with quite a huge force. There's no Immortals on the field, I don't think. Yeah, it's just a very, very gateway-oriented push. There's 3 in the main. I believe it's up to actually 9 gateways now. Yeah,
that's right, Jay. He's going for a very gateway-heavy push here. The robotics facility only just finished for Squirtle. And we actually have the Roaches here getting trapped a little bit. Good burrow there, banking on no observer being with this army. And of course, there isn't. The robotics facility only just completing. Squirtle actually going straight up to Blink and +2, I believe.
Yep.
So he is not going to have an observer with the army for a little while, and only now about halfway through production.
Yep, Chrono boosting out +2 as quick as possible, and now the sentries are trying to return home, but look how many Roaches are here. Of course, these are speed Roaches with burrows, so he can actually get away if he needs to at the last moment, but he might actually just push on the third, try and break down this wall, and now the rocks are dead, so Squirtle can wiggle a little bit between the natural and the third, and here we go, looks like XiGua is moving in. The sentries are just starting to come around, so they can force it out, but XiGua has not pushed forward yet. Are the sentries in range to get some force fields? Yes, they are, and actually pincing off just a couple of them. There's the burrow. Observer is in range, I believe.
Yep, it's there.
Yeah, so he's able to actually pick off those Roaches that are burned, heading over to the natural, starting to target fire a bit, and XiGua actually at 150 supply is not able to break either ramp, just kind of ping-ponging back and forth, and now he's forced to return home.
Yeah, he's trying very hard to break the front of Squirtle there, see if he could split up the forces of Squirtle, but sadly, Squirtle did a great job of just keeping a couple of Stalkers at the third base location and then continuing to attack into XiGua's attacking force at the natural. So he held that really, really nicely. Now as Immortals coming out, and of course he just finished his robotics bay as well. Extended thermal lance immediately starting there, and we're going to go up to a Colossus endgame.
Yep, it looks like XiGua actually opted to go straight to Hive. Spire is just about finished, and he's getting upgrades pretty quickly here, and it looks like this game he's actually going to start getting Infestors. So apparently he got the word on Infestors a little bit.
He certainly did. So we're going into a little bit more of a regular composition here going into the endgame. Squirtle currently at 136 supply versus the 162 of XiGua here. And map control definitely favoring XiGua as it currently stands. He has gone and taken his 4th and 5th bases as well. So his economy is going to be feeling very healthy, but Squirtle is slowly amassing that Protoss death ball where he will be able to move down the map and try and take a couple of bases off of XiGua there.
You know, I feel like Squirtle might be making a small mistake here. He's just kind of sitting back and letting XiGua do whatever he wants. He's already getting his hive up. There's 10 spine crawlers in production, so he's going to have very, very good stagnant defense. And as well, he's going up to Broodlords right now. He's already got his Greater Spire started, and the only thing he really has to defend right now is roaches.
And the 4th base from Squirtle actually being denied for quite a long time there, thanks to the presence of a single Zergling. A lot of cannons being put down right now to try and kill it off. We don't have an observer with the army as it currently stands, so that 4th is actually going to get delayed by a fair bit. There we go. Finally spotting and taking out that Zergling, so the 4th will go down for Squirtle.
And +1 air weapons has started for Squirtle as well as he gets his first starport, and there's the fleet beacon as well. So Squirtle looks like he's going to head straight up to a mothership, maybe even go towards maybe a bigger air force, just because, you know, we're getting +1 right now.
That's entirely I mean, we have that +1 air weapons is really sort of looking towards the long run. I wonder if he's thinking about a transition into carriers. We'll have to see. XiGua, though, he's actually looking quite healthy out in the middle of the map. I mean, all 5 of his bases are mining right now. He has a good number of spine crawlers up on the wall. He's got some infestors out too. So if he spots this army coming from Squirtle, which admittedly I don't think he does at the moment, he might be able to deal with it effectively. Oh, this roach run by, though, forcing the entire army back. That's a great decision from him.
Yep, going to get a couple extra stalkers here, but the cannon should be able to clean this up, especially since the remaining army of Squirtle is going to head back home. This full wall, man, it's just not going to happen. And looks like just an observer flying around, scouting around to see what is going on. 5 more corruptors, or excuse me, 5 more spine crawlers are in production, adrenal glands, and there's the starting of the Broodlord army. All
right, so the Broodlords are going to be coming out here at the 16-minute mark. Things I have to say, neither side has really harassed the other too much this game. In fact, we have Squirtle going up to take a 5th base of his own right now behind this attack, and if he's on equal bases going too much longer, that's going to be okay for him too. But XiGua is prepared with infestors and Broodlords in this army. Has to be very, very careful. Good fungal there, picking off the observers.
Yep, a couple of drones are getting picked off by a group of stalkers, but the majority of Squirtle's army has headed back home in the center of the map, and it looks like Mothership has been started halfway down, and +2 ship weapons started right after +1 finished.
Wow. All right, then. So we also have +1 armor coming out. That's, of course, going to help a fair bit. Adrenal glands is nearly complete, and but both sides are very standoffish, actually, in this game number 3. And again, that comes into what we were talking about earlier. There's a lot on the line. There's a lot of tension in these games, J. Morrow, and a lot of mind games coming out here as well, because neither player really wants this to be their last game at IPL 5.
And Squirtle is just doing a little bit of showing off here, just getting some carriers out on the field. He's already got +2 halfway done. This is going to be pretty exciting, actually. I was hoping when he said something about carriers, but I didn't want to get my hopes up too high. We do have 3 more Stargates on the way, getting +2 again. And right now, Squirtle's just trying to keep map control as much as he can, trying not to let the creep go by. And look at this. Look at the land sharks.
Oh dear, we have the infestors now moving out towards a 4th and 5th base location. Now, don't forget, the 4th base did have cannons put there, so XiGua has to be very careful to stay out of vision range of those cannons, so he will lose the element of surprise potentially. He's going to move into the 5th location and possibly also see that there are cannons there. No, he's actually going straight behind the 4th, chucking out a couple of infested Terrans and then releasing the rest of them as well, so he's going to see if he can take it down. This Nexus, a lot of DPS with those infested Terrans, more roaches coming into the natural expansion as well. And XiGua is everywhere at the moment. Squirtle has a couple of units near the 5th base of XiGua down there, but they're not actually doing anything at the moment. They
they're just warped in, just chilling out right now.
And,
well, he actually does.
Yep, the 4th base goes down to the infested Terrans, and we have a couple of units in the main and the natural as well. So XiGua is doing a great job of multitasking here, and he should have seen the Stargate transition out of Squirtle, I think.
Yep, absolutely, and we do actually, or the first carrier is going to hit the field right now, and there we go. It looks like he's actually going to start hitting the 5th base of XiGua. Did he actually blink over the gap there, it looks like? Yep. And so he's starting firing down the gas geysers, which is very important at this stage of the game. This is fresh gas for XiGua. His mine is natural are going to start getting mined out, and so he needs as much gas as he can possibly get his hands on.
Yeah, you're completely right. I mean, he's going up to 1,000 minerals and only 300 gas right now. So going into the late game, you want to make sure that that gas production is continuously there, and there are still units in the natural expansion for XiGua on Squirtle. He's doing a great job. Let's take a look at how many workers have actually been killed here. 19 versus 10, so not a catastrophic amount so far, but XiGua's map presence at the moment has just been all over the place.
Yeah, I really like this burrow play from XiGua. He's been using it from the start to the finish of the game. A ton of Zerglings are running by right now, +2 on them with Adrenal Glands. +3 is just about to finish. May be able to target down one of the new Nexus. Actually, both of them are getting targeted down here. Very nicely done by XiGua. He's actually trying to get a full surround here, killing a ton of probes here. May actually get a grip on the Nexus. This Nexus is going to fall very, very quickly, and he's going to try and burrow again. Yes, he is. I really like this burrow play from XiGua.
He's really trying to abuse the fact that his opponent doesn't have observers everywhere on the map. I think those burrowed lings, though, are going to get taken out at that top base. Oh wow, there's actually still no observer here,
wow.
But it's being camped out. We have another bunch of lings moving out towards the right hand side of the map. In the meantime, though, a 6th base is actually getting that'll have to get cancelled there from XiGua against that Zealot Warp in, and now the carriers apparently they do really well against Zerglings, Jmaro.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to tear them apart very quickly, but not before they can do a little bit of damage. More probes are being taken out right now, up to 32 probe kills. It looks like the units in the natural are trying to do a little bit more damage as well, but it looks like Squirtle's going to clean it up.
And again, we have, in the 5th base location of Squirtle, everything is going on right now. Another nice burrow there. We need to see, Squirtle needs to deal with these a little bit better. He's actually being pulled in quite a few directions, but he is hanging on very, very well. He's got good upgrades, good tech. He's going to have a very healthy number of carriers soon, and he is still just about maxed out. So XiGua being very frustrating to Squirtle on a lot of fronts here, but Squirtle holding on like a champ.
He really is, and if you look at their banks right now, XiGua actually only has minerals to spare now, 2,000 minerals, very small amount of gas, and Squirtle the opposite, 2,500 minerals, along with a ton of gas banked up. He does also have a ton of Broodlords on the field as well, though 14 Broodlords already.
And those are going to be very pivotal going into the late game here. They're sort of hanging around the bottom half of the map, though. We haven't seen XiGua be really offensive with his Broodlords this game just yet. He hasn't been interested in pushing, and that's actually a little bit of a problem because Squirtle is now on 5 healthy mining bases, and he has a mothership out with maximum energy. So XiGua at the moment, he's playing it a little bit passive, I feel, and Squirtle is continuously just mining a lot more than Zergs would ideally like to allow Protoss to mine at this stage of the game.
That's an excellent point. Along with, he does actually have +3 on the way, which we really don't see +3 air weapons very often. It looks like we're getting +2 shields. So these carriers are going to be very, very beefy soon. Their DPS is going to be maximized. Along with, we are actually seeing XiGua go for some air upgrades, getting +2 for the Broodlords, along with, they already have 3/3 for melee. And here comes a ton of Blink Stalkers over to the natural. Some decent micro by Squirtle. And it looks like he's trying to target down, just trying to get some of this gas cut off from XiGua.
A lot of Blink Stalkers, like you mentioned, they're actually spreading themselves out just a little bit, going straight up the ramp into the main base as well. Has XiGua erred a little bit. The Greater Spire getting targeted down, and it will go down. The Transfuse going down it, but I don't think the upgrade will finish at all. And there we go. Really nice play there coming out of Squirtle, and simultaneously against the 5th base and the 4th base as well. The 4th should be sufficiently guarded with those spine crawlers, but the main base is where the damage is being done. And XiGua, unfortunately, just unable to get back fast enough, picking off, very, very nice there, pick off of that Colossus by those Corruptors, but it's these Blink Stalkers that are doing the damage right now.
That was a nice recall by Squirtle as well. I thought those Colossi were just going to get eaten alive by the Corruptors.
One of them did.
Oh,
and then the rest of them got recalled.
Sure. And it looks like there's a pretty good amount of investors out on the field right now. 17 right now. Does clean up the remainder of the Stalkers. There was not a warp back. All the carriers are still sitting above the high ground here. Squirtle just freeing up a little bit of supply. These Zerglings still have not come into play. And so it looks like he's just kind of sitting back right now. Oh, are we going to get a bunch of Archons here?
Oh, that is a lot of Templar. We have Psionic Storm on the way as well, so we're not going to go immediately into Archons by the looks of things. Squirtle, he has to start thinking about a major push against XiGua, because XiGua has now taken completely the bottom half of the map. And Squirtle needs to think about either completely locking out the top half and stopping XiGua from doing these great Zergling run-bys that he's been doing all series long, and trying to kill him. XiGua is now back in the middle of the map. Those Blink Stalkers bought Squirtle a lot of time, and he does have a lot of air units coming out. Void Rays being mixed in with the carriers now as well.
It's a really, really interesting composition coming out from Squirtle right now. +3 is now done, so these carriers are doing a ton of damage if they actually get involved here. +1 air weapons and +2 shields is now done. I mean, that's a really, really weird thing to say. And look at the Templar on the field right now. We do have Storm completed right now. He's gonna have 10 Templar plus 11 actually, and so he's gonna have 11 Templar total, along with this massive carrier army, a mothership. I mean, what more could a Protoss want?
We have an Air Protoss endgame here coming up against XiGua, but what we haven't seen yet, ladies and gentlemen, is that big engagement. Both sides very standoffish as it currently stands. Squirtle not really remaking a lot of those blink stalkers. He used them to try and snipe off the Greater Spire, which he did successfully do, and try and pick off some of the tech inside the main base of XiGua, and then he is just remaxing on as much of that air as is humanly possible. Meanwhile, though, XiGua has just been consistently getting up to that wonderful Broodlord Infestor endgame composition here. Let's see what he ends up doing. In fact, what are his upgrades like, Jmaro? How are those Broodlords looking?
They're currently at 1-1 for the actual Broodlords. The Broodlings are at 3-3. He's actually getting +2-2 right now, and he's actually getting +2 weapons for his infested Terrans. But, you know, I really like this from XiGua. He's actually using his Broodlords quite well, just kind of maneuvering them back and forth, picking off anything he could possibly get his hands on. But, I mean, like you said, he really has cut the map in half. He's on so many bases right now that his bank is going to start maxing out 3,500 gas. That is so much gas to have, especially for a Zerg army to rebuild.
Yeah, that's a great place for him to be. He just needs to get some more minerals in the bank, but of course the gas is often the more scarce resource late in the game because so many of those late game units are very, very gas heavy. Squirtle even sending a couple of probes to their doom right now to try and free up supply and get as large of an army as possible. The current work account right now at this point of the game is 63 drones to 64 probes, so neither side really sacking a lot of workers just yet to maximize that army. But my goodness, look at this! Just testing out his skills on those rocks there, and they disappeared like nobody's business, Jmaro. This is looking pretty scary from Squirtle's point of view.
Yeah, the DPS of those carriers is going to be amazing. I can't wait to witness it, especially with how many carriers he currently has on top of Psionic Storms.
And Archons.
And Archons, yeah. He's getting +2 armor and +3 shields right now. I really want to see this engagement, but look what XiGua's doing, man. He's actually stacking a ton of Spine Crawlers and Spore Crawlers out here in the middle of the map. He knows that Squirtle's going to have to walk across the map at some point, otherwise he's just going to keep taking bases.
Now, that's a very good point, actually. XiGua is sitting back, but he's not sitting back and doing nothing about it. He's sitting back and constantly expanding to different locations, which is great, because he's going to be able to slowly build up more of a bank as well. But at the same time, though, Squirtle has been on 5 base comfortably for a while now, and the only things he can really do is take the 6th and 7th bases on the top half of the map before this engagement from XiGua happens. So I don't think it's possible to stall the big fight for very much longer.
Yeah, XiGua's done a great job of denying these top left bases from Squirtle as long as possible with these burrowed Zerglings along with the run-bys in combination. He's done a really, really great job so far. He has the Xel'Naga Watchtower, so he knows exactly where his opponent is at almost all times. And it looks like Squirtle is moving down to the right side. Is he going to try and loop around this crescent, or is he just going to go for a straight engagement? It's really hard to say what's going on in Squirtle's mind right now.
The creep spread from XiGua has now started to really come into really good play in the center there, especially with their Spine Crawlers and Spore Crawlers out and about. He has complete control of the center of the map, and Squirtle is forced to move down to this right-hand side. And XiGua sees this. Now let's see what he chooses to do. It looks like he's going to be moving straight towards the base of Squirtle, and he is intent on just going for a base trade scenario. A lot of blue dots going towards a 4th base location now as Squirtle picks apart the bottom right. Here come the Broodlords, and that 4th base is not long for this world.
And Squirtle actually just sitting idle. There's the recall back home, and where did his units end up recalling? Over here to the top left base. Looks like everything is very, very well grouped up. There's the Psionic Storms going down. The High Templar are moving forward. Are they going to be able to land the storms that they need to? It doesn't look like it. XiGua pulling back here. Did lose 1 base. Looks like Squirtle did retain his 4th base, and now they're just kind of falling back into this passivity again.
Yeah, unfortunately, Squirtle not able to get the storms off that he wanted. They were effectively preemptive at that point. He wanted to make sure that XiGua wasn't continuing to advance, and both sides retreating back into the middle of the map. But Squirtle picking apart a little bit of creep there, and then deciding, well, hang on a second, I'm going to wait until I get into a better position, and both sides just moving backward. There's still a couple of units for Squirtle, though, in the bottom right-hand corner, and a couple of Void Rays just continuously being really frustrating here, preventing that hatch from going down once again. But XiGua is going to attempt to retake that 4 o'clock position.
Yep, and it looks like XiGua's going to get as many Corruptors out on the field as he possibly can get. He's going to have +3 for this, along with the Infestors, which is the combination he needs in order to deal with this. Look at this Void Ray, man, just killing everybody off. Up to 8 kills before he does finally get taken down. And it looks like XiGua's just going to sit in the middle of the map. 23 infestors, 15 corruptors with plus 3/3.
And those infestors have so much energy as well, Jamar.
Yeah.
Like that, if that energy is used really, really well, that's going to be fantastic for XiGua. But Squirtle's army still has such a high amount of DPS. Very, very scary there, especially with the splash damage from those storms and those Archons. And this is going to gear up to be a very, very explosive and also potentially very quick final fight.
I agree, and you know what? XiGua actually having his Broodlords away from the remainder of his army is very, very risky, because if Squirtle was able to scout that and take advantage of it, XiGua could just be destroyed by it.
I think that's a great point. He needs to... I mean, both sides have really good chances to win this game. And let's not forget, of course, that there are enough Archons that a really good Vortex from Squirtle could do a crazy amount of damage to XiGua as well. But there's so much energy on the Infestors that if XiGua spreads them right and gets a lot of good shots off, it could also be really... It could go either way at this point. Both sides have close to their dream armies as a hatch does fall in the 4 o'clock position now. XiGua coming back with the Infestors, and oh my goodness, that is going to be very quickly dealt with there.
Yeah, look how many Infestors are here right now. XiGua doing a great job still denying this top left bases, but it looks like finally Squirtle is going to be able to take them. And then at that point, he is going to be close to 10,000 resources after he starts mining off this at 6,000 minerals and 5,000 gas right now. And this poor little Broodlord is going to get destroyed.
So we're actually in a situation right now where, interestingly, if this game goes on for too much longer, because XiGua has actually been mining for so long, once he uses his bank, there aren't too many bases for him to mine from. Whereas Squirtle has been denied those top left bases for so long, I think, that he's going to continue to be able to mine. So obviously it still all comes down to the big engagement, but after the big engagement, if for some reason both sides are on low supply, then Squirtle is going to be mining more than XiGua. That's going to be that's going to make for a really, really interesting dynamic. But look at this. XiGua he's so unbelievably patient here, guys, just moving all his spine crawlers out. He's almost at the 4th base location of Squirtle. He's just being so patient here.
It's reminding me of almost like a Zerg player for Thorazane.
The Zerg Thorazane. Right. Like, that's true, man. He is the Spoon Zerg right now.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job on it. Squirtle going along this right crescent again, just trying to take out these bases, but unfortunately XiGua did not retake this base. But look at this, man. He's just going to hop his way all the way over to the 4th, 5th, and 6th bases of Squirtle. And it looks like Squirtle is going to push down to the bottom right here, trying to take out a couple more bases. But I don't know, man. XiGua's throwing down a ton more of Infested Terran. They do have +3 attacks, so they do so much DPS. And he just wants to take out these Nexus as quickly as possible so he can stop Squirtle from mining.
Okay, well, this looks like... we have another recall, I believe. And yes, he is going back up into that 5th base location. Going to try and come back out and stop these Broodlords from taking everything out. The Nexus is under real danger. And some of these Broodlords actually caught very out of position. These Void Rays picking them apart oh so quickly from Squirtle. And this is the
beautiful fungals, though.
Look at these Archons, though. They're trying to pick apart the Corruptors very quickly. So many mini engagements going on here. And in the bottom right, Squirtle's actually taken apart that base as well in the same time. 3 carriers still there. The main engagement still going on, though, here in the top left. A lot of Infestors bunched up there, but there's not too much Squirtle can do about it right now. The High Templar can't get close enough. And it looks like both sides are plummeting in supply, but XiGua is remaining alive with the Broodlords. Has he done it?
Yeah, that's the one problem with carriers, man. They take so long to build. Even with Chrono Boost, they take so long, and these Infestors are just regenerating energy. So this is like an infinite army if you give it long enough time. XiGua's just going to keep throwing down these Infestors with +3 ranged attacks. He still has quite a healthy amount of Broodlords left. There are 3 carriers over here tearing apart a lot of the hatcheries of XiGua, but I think Squirtle might be in a little bit of trouble here.
I think so. He's down to 110 supply versus 141 from XiGua.
Oh, the mothership at 80 shields, and there's the Vortex actually used to prevent it from dying, but there are Infested Terrans about to spawn directly underneath it, down to 31 HP, and the mothership falls. Squirtle dropping below 100 supply.
This is looking great for XiGua right now. He's crucially kept his Infestors alive here, and he hasn't lost all... It's not like he's lost all of his gas-heavy units, and he has to slowly remake them all. He has a healthy number of Broodlords. He has a good number of Infestors. We actually see some damage getting done at the 4th base location. Those 3 carriers trying to do what they can, but XiGua just slowly marching towards Squirtle's top right-hand corner of the map, and our Chinese Zerg player is looking like he's in a good position here. Can Squirtle rally and get enough units out to push this back? Archons are a great idea to start off with, though.
Yeah, the problem is XiGua is not dealing with these carriers down at the bottom. Lost yet another hatchery. guess how many workers he currently has? He has 13 workers on the map right now. He is not mining basically from anything. Actually, both players very, very minimal income, and it looks like actually Squirtle's going to group up one more time, might actually push on top of these infestors, and they are starting to run.
Oh, and with that many Archons, actually, he might stand a good chance here because the AoE damage is great. Good blink forward. We need to use that infestor energy very wisely here. We saw a good fungal and a whole bunch of infested terrors, but the Archons are doing so much splash damage. Squirtle is fighting back. The Broodlord numbers are dwindling, and he might come back here.
Yeah.
This is insane. Is there an observer there to pick off the infestors, or are they going to get away?
It looks like they may actually wiggle their way away, but some of the Archons are starting to move in the direction of. But these carriers are still alive down here, just doing a ton of damage. 82 supply to 70. Both players at very minimal income. XiGua back up to 500 minerals per minute here, it looks like. And so, man, this is crazy. And look at XiGua's reconstructed arm here. A ton of Corruptors with Overseers actually going to pick off the rest of these carriers. But what does he have to deal with the ground army?
This is such a cool move from Squirtle there. He's down to 67 supply, but he used those Archons so effectively against the rest of what XiGua had. XiGua currently at 87 supply, and Squirtle going to come into, oh, I wouldn't want to mess with that place. That Spine Crawler, Spore Crawler jungle there is that's going to delay Squirtle a lot, and he can't afford to be losing units right now.
Yeah, he has 0 income right now. He actually does not have enough money to do any sort of new Nexus. Only 10 workers on the map for Squirtle, and XiGua's actually in a comfortable spot now. He's got a ton of Spine Crawlers up here, and he's just saying, you know what? I'm just going to sit up on top of this hill, keep mining, and Squirtle, you can do whatever you want because I know you really don't have any new bases available.
This is absolutely insane stuff going on here, guys, in game number 3. One of these guys has to bow out of the tournament at this stage. We are going into the 42-minute mark right now, and oh my goodness, a huge engagement here on the left-hand side. Squirtle trying to break this left-hand side base because that is where XiGua is mainly mining from right now. Can he do it, though?
I don't see it happening, man. There's a couple more infested Terrans going down. There's no more actual Broodlords, I don't think. I can't really tell with all this ZerG units here, but the last few Spine Crawlers may be able to clean up. Look at the Spine Crawlers just walking up, just about to root themselves, and there's the GG from Squirtle. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I wish I would have put money on XiGua. I wish I would have made a bet with you, or anybody for that matter, of XiGua beating Squirtle. In a
43-minute epic, ladies and gentlemen, XiGua manages to come back and defeat Startail Squirtle 2-1 to advance in the lower bracket, and that means Squirtle right now is out of the tournament.
Second place runner-up last year gets knocked out in the losers to our Chinese player XiGua. Very, very well done.
Really well played there, guys, and I'm really looking forward to see if XiGua can up his game and continue his good run through the losers bracket here. Commiserations to Squirtle. That was an insane game number 3. Obviously, that game lasted a long time, guys, so we're currently running a little bit behind schedule, so we're going to go straight into a commercial break, and when we come back, the next best of 3, more StarCraft action here from IPL 5.